Now, the reason why I've started this news network is because I have worked on the inside. I have been part of the conservative news and the liberal news. And let me tell you the things that I learned. It is important that the truth is told, whether it benefits or hurts your side or not. The truth has to be told. So we have been asking you to subscribe to The Blaze, and so many people have, and I thank you for it. We are not wasting your money. In fact, I can promise you that not a single dime of that has gone to me. All of that has gone into development, and then millions more of my money has gone into this. News is extraordinarily expensive, and there is no way to make money on news. And we are trying not only to report the news, but then we're trying to hire new people and tell the truth. Yesterday when I saw this, we knew that something was wrong, and we have been working on a story. And finally, Joel came in from New York today. Joel Cheatwood. He is our president of content, our president and chief content officer for The Blaze, and he is he has been overseeing everything, and he doesn't necessarily tell me everything because I tend to say, let's tell them now. And we have been playing good American citizens, and we still are. There's more things that we are not saying because we want to believe that Americans in our FBI and Justice Department and everywhere else are doing some things to be able to grab the entire crew. So there are some things we choose as a network not to show you. However, the moment we believe that things are nefarious and it is not being done to be able to grab the whole ring, we will expose. And that time is probably coming sooner rather than later. However, we want to give you the stories that we broke this morning, and some of these you may have seen bits and pieces of. Drudge has a few of these pieces, right, but nobody has put all of this together. And all of the things that we're going to tell you are the things that we can verify now. And I want you to spread this news because it is important that the truth is out there. And it is also now an hour since this news has been out. We know that our program and The Blaze is read and watched in many newsrooms in New York. And it is interesting to me, has anybody followed up? Has anybody updated their story, or is anybody breaking this news based on what we broke an hour ago?
You know, we're watching. We know it's trending on Twitter like crazy based on the radio report this morning, but we haven't seen a major news source pick it up.
Okay. I want to give them the extra benefit of the doubt that maybe they don't want to believe it because it came from me. And so that's why I've asked Joel Cheatwood, who was running the news divisions for the CBS owned and operated stations for years. He was the head of development at CNN. He was the head of development then at Fox. And now he is the president and chief content officer of The Blaze. Anybody in the news business knows Joel Cheatwood and knows that he is a man of credibility and honor. So we wanted to have him give the media one other opportunity here to hear the news that The Blaze has broken with the help of some really great investigative reporters, namely Sarah Carter.
Right.
Take us through.
First of all, I want to say the encouraging thing is there are Americans in every level of government who are so committed to telling the truth that they're willing to risk their jobs, their livelihood, some would say more, to get this information out.
This is a government that has turned against anyone who is talking to sources or talking to the media. They've arrested them. They have threatened them with many, many years of imprisonment. And they are still picking up the phone or meeting with people at our organization. They have been, quite honestly, I think, testing us for a while.
They have.
To make sure that we are the real deal and we're not just another organization that will say it and then not really follow through. We will follow through. So thank you to those, and that should give your heart some ease that there are people in every, correct me if I'm wrong, in every department or every group that is investigating and is part of this coming to the table and saying, here's a piece of information you need to know?
Every agency involved in the investigation we've heard from.
Okay.
And again, there are a lot of people like this, which is, I think, encouraging and says to the government that they're going to have a hard time shutting these people up.
Okay. Tell us what happened. This is really revolving around the guy that we found right away, that it was the Saudi national that was in the hospital. That first was a suspect, then definitely not a suspect, just a person of interest, and then definitely we were only interested because he had such nice complexion. We wondered how he got that.
We got several calls in actually the late hours of Tuesday night, alerting us that this Saudi national who had gone, as you said, from a person of interest to having nothing, absolutely positively nothing to do with anything, was going to be deported. And as we pursued this story, we were able to get all of the information on the document of deportation. And what the document of deportation said unequivocally was he was being deported because of terrorist activities. We don't single source anything. We contacted several people who've been very, very reliable and very much in the know for a long time, and including this investigation, had them look at the file themselves, confirmed everything we were told, that a deportation was underway, that he was being deported based on either acts of terrorism or the suspicion that he was going to participate in acts of terrorism. We were told that he was someone connected prominently to a prominent family in Saudi Arabia, that it was being worked out that he would leave based on injuries and wanting to go home.
Say the part about the prominent family again.
We were told actually by 3 different people that he was a member of a prominent Saudi family.
Is this connected? Have we connected officially? I know it is, but you have different standards than I do. Is this connected to the meeting that happened at the White House last night?
We haven't been able to confirm that, but I will say that we do know the meeting was unscheduled, was not on any presidential calendar. And
it was a walk-by meeting,
it was, right.
Which is, can you explain to people who don't know what a walk-by meeting, how important a walk-by meeting is, what that means?
Typically it means they don't want it on the schedule because they don't want anyone to know about it.
And what that means is the president, if somebody is coming to the White House, they're meeting with some under person, and then the president is scheduled, everybody knows, he's scheduled to walk by the hallway, that door is to be open, and then he sees somebody and says, oh my gosh, Mohammed, what are you doing here?
Right.
And then he comes in and closes the door. He has a 20-minute meeting, and that way it's unscheduled. The president was just roaming the hallways. He saw him, but that's not what he was there for.
Exactly right.
Okay.
So, Joel, the obvious implication here is that this guy would have had something maybe to do with this, but we're just sending him home to avoid embarrassing this prominent Saudi family and a supposed ally in Saudi Arabia.
Yes,
is that the
implication?
That's
the implication. I think what we are asking as we speak, the authorities in Boston to just clear it up. I mean, tell us the truth.
Yeah.
You know, if this guy had nothing to do with it, why are you deporting him and deporting him on the basis of terrorism?
And we believe this deportation document because his file, which was opened up, it's called an event. An event was opened on him 3 days ago. That's just a governmental name for a file on somebody. The file contains his deportation record and the reason he's being deported. His visa has been revoked, and this part of this was already classified, right?
They've classified the reason behind it, and the actual deportation order we believe will be classified today. And I should point out, the event was filed 3 days ago, so the file was created 3 days ago by an organization called NTC, or National Target Center. And that's a little-known government agency in Virginia that handles this sort of thing quietly.
So is this something that Sarah Palin is in charge of, seeing that it has the word target in it? Is this is the picture that the Blaze is running from the New York Post today, and these are the people that we now say may be the ones that have the one of them has the pressure cooker in those. These are 2 backpacks. They match the backpacks, is one of these guys the suspect? Do we know?
We don't know. We have not been able.
We have
to
no
confirm
picture of him. We have no idea.
We don't. We have an idea as to his identity, and we have seen information that we're trying to confirm to make sure that we're
Okay. So
right.
all right. So we're not okay. All right.
Is there a non-nefarious explanation for all of this that you can think of?
Well, we actually approached the story that way. When
Yeah.
we were first given the information, our initial reaction was, well, maybe they are using him to flip other people. Maybe he's giving them information or going to lead them in some way to other suspects, and that may be true.
And I believe there are multi levels to this. I believe every FBI guy I've ever met. I've not met it now. Not like the nefarious guys are going to come up and introduce themselves to me, but the ones that I have met, they're all red, white, and blue American, and they just want to do their job and do it right. And many of them are disgusted by what's going on. So many of them may be saying they're going to flip him, and we got it because there are our sources tell us there's 2 to 3.
We've been told 2 to 3
other people involved. Do we believe they're foreign nationals? Can we say, or do we know?
We have been told that they have a connection to the Saudi national, but we don't have their identity.
Okay. When we come back, I have to take a quick break, but when we come back, what I want to explore the non-nefarious route, that I believe there are people that are nefarious and not nefarious, and and I think the White House is deeply connected in the nefarious part of it. Back in just a second.
Call Glenn Beck at
888-727-BECK.
All right. There are many reasons for these things to happen, but we're gonna fill you in on some. You're gonna have to read between some lines here, but we're gonna fill you in on some things that we can share with you now about the truth about what happened in Boston this weekend, and this is playing out to be very similar to what happened in Benghazi. Except this time American legs have been blown off. Just ambassadors just haven't been killed. Now American legs and arms and limbs and terror have been brought to the streets. And while the media waits for their white dark night, they wait for some white guy to be responsible for this. We went and looked for the truth. And with some help of some very good investigative reporters, and with the work that the Blaze has done in the last 2 years to try to slowly show people who have been giving us information in all departments of the government. They have been testing us, and we have tried to show them every time we are people of our word, we are people of honor, and we will not sit on information for some other reason, whether it hurts or helps our case. We tell the truth. We have known from the very beginning that we needed to be cautious on this because there is a good chance that this is going to be buried. And so we have been working behind the scenes, and as we broke the story 90 minutes ago, still to have been reported by any other news outlet, we now can tell you that this guy is being deported and why. Drudge has had a few of these pieces, but now we can really start to complete the picture. This guy is the guy who was in the hospital on Monday that was a suspect, then not a suspect, just a person of interest, and then he just wants to go home to see mom. He's actually being deported, and the deportation papers will be classified by today. Press can still get them. But classified today. This guy is related. He comes from a prominent family. At this point, we can't say which prominent family, but we are working on that. But a prominent family in Saudi Arabia. This is why I believe, and this is not confirmed, this is just my speculation. This is why I believe the president was meeting with a prominent prominent Saudi in the White House last night. To put this into perspective, imagine if a cousin of Prince Charles or a cousin of what's his name from Virgin Air from England came over, was part of a group that blew people up, Americans, on the streets of the Boston Marathon, And then our government tried to help cover it up and then send him home classified so he could go back to his royal family or his influential family in England. We would be calling for cutting of all ties. First of all, the President of the United States that would do it would be impeached. And we would be calling for the ties to be cut from England. But there is more even to this story than just that. Because, and Joel, I want you to tell this story, because we know we are a fledgling network, because we know what baggage comes and how easy it is to say, well, Glenn Beck, he's a conspiracy theorist. We know all of that. Joel Cheatwood made some phone calls to members of the press. You want to explain?
I did. We felt very strongly that it would be better for all concerned if other news organizations broke this story along with us.
Al, I want you to hear something, and this is something that no one in the news media ever understood. Fox got it at the very end. I am not interested in self-aggrandizement or self-enrichment, and I mean I don't mind making an honest dollar for an honest day's work. However, what they don't understand in the media is everybody rushes to be first. We don't care who's first. We want the truth to be out, and we don't care who's first. We don't care who gets the credit, and I have a very long track record of this that anybody who's ever worked with me at Fox or CNN will verify. So, because we don't care about the record, we know that a new up-and-coming news source is not going to get the play on this that it deserves, and you have to act now. So you called.
Exactly right. We were concerned this would just be swept aside as just coming from the Blaze. We actually did two things. We asked the sources that had come to us to call certain members of other news organizations that we knew could be trusted. They did that. I personally contacted and reached out to two different news organizations and asked that they get back to me regarding a story that we were working on, and I have yet to hear from either one.
Now the question is why?
I think that for the very same reason that John King was attacked on CNN for describing the suspect as a dark-skinned individual, for the very same reason that AP has removed all reference to Islamic terrorist or jihadist.
Explain that, because this is a news story we haven't had time to talk about. I know it was up on the Blaze about 2 or 3 weeks ago when I was on vacation, but this is critically important. And, by the way, I think I wrote you, Joel, we will never do this at the Blaze. Never. But all of them have done this, and the AP is the latest.
The amazing, I in all honesty, thought I would never see this. Truth has taken a second place in virtually every news organization in the country to political correctness. The work of CARE, which we've documented and talked about a lot, has borne tremendous success for them, to the point that news organizations now are, it's not about getting to the truth as quickly as you can. It's about presenting it in a way that will not upset anyone.
And when you say anyone, you don't mean the people in the middle of the country. You mean the tough organizations that wield power. You want to talk about, and people always say the Jews control the media. No, they don't.
No.
CARE has such tremendous influence on the negative in this country that it is extraordinary.
People love to point the finger of blame for too much influence at the Koch brothers
or the
Grover
NRA.
Norquist or the NRA. You would not believe the power that CARE has. People just wouldn't believe that, would they?
I would go so far as to say CARE communicates with the major news organizations of this country more than any other organization in the world. They are on the phone with them constantly.
And I believe, I don't have verification of this myself, but I knew this to be true during the Bush years. They are wildly influential on Capitol Hill and at the White House.
They are respected like no other organization I've ever seen. Their calls are taken. Their requests are usually met. And that's not just the government. I mean, the news organizations have gotten to the point where if CARE raises a stink.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I find it
Do you
very
remember
interesting.
24 when they did that?
Yeah.
They were upset that Muslims were being presented as terrorists on 24, and CARE raised an issue with the producers of 24, and it stopped. Then pretty soon they were all Serbian or South African or French terrorists.
Well, here's what's a very good example. The guy who went over to now lead the rebels in Syria, he has become a Syrian terrorist, a freedom fighter. He is a Syrian terrorist, Muslim Brotherhood. He was living in Dallas, Texas in December. His wife is a school teacher, Dallas, Texas. He is a vice president of CARE, Dallas, Texas. In December, he left. In January, he was in Turkey. Last month, he became the leader of the Muslim Brotherhood rebels in Syria. And have you heard that story besides from us? No one has reported on it. No one is telling you this, or at least they might mention it in passing, but they're not telling you. Warning, America, here is direct evidence that the Muslim Brotherhood and CARE are tied together. This also makes a very, very strong case. Remember, it was a Turkish ship that was taking all of the arms over to the Muslim Brotherhood in Syria from Benghazi. This is all tied together. It is all tied together. And Joel, do you believe it is so disturbing that you have called others and you have asked all of our sources, call these people, we trust them, and none of them have reported on this? Is there any possibility it's because we have the story wrong?
No, because I think what we have asked them to look at, we know for a fact that a deportation file was created. We know that. It's fact.
We know what it says.
We know exactly what it says. And even if the reasoning is good, we just feel like the public has a right to know. I mean, there has to be a reason behind why this person is being deported. So in my last, and I sent an email and left a voicemail, I said, just look into this. Nothing more. Just look into why they feel the need to deport this guy. It's newsworthy. We haven't heard back.
When do you suppose anyone is going to, let me rephrase this, what is the best thing that people can do? You're listening now and you're frustrated and you know that our government and our news media is colluding. And even if they have these really crazy ideas that this is for the best of the country, the American people know it's not. What is the best thing they can do?
At the risk of sounding self-serving, support the Blaze. I mean, as you've said, we are a news organization that is absolutely, we will close the doors before we yield to the pressure that, quite honestly, the mainstream media has already yielded to. There are very few voices. Be that person that does raise your hand. I mean, God bless the folks in government who have said, I just can't sit by and not let this go unreported, and have picked up a phone again and risked their very livelihood, at least, to get this information out.
Thank you very much, Joel. That is Joel Cheatwood. He is the president and chief officer of content for the Blaze, a vice president of CNN, a vice president of Fox News, ran the CBS owned and operated stations, ran the news for years. He is a wildly respected man, and quite honestly, I know how respected he is because everybody, when he signed on with me, said, "What the hell is wrong with you, Joel?" But I'll tell you what was right with Joel. He was tired of being told, "Be dead inside, just be dead inside. Don't worry about it. Just be dead inside." And he is a decent man.
Can I give you one piece of breaking news?
Yes.
Just got a note from one of our investigative reporters saying that she has been told there is now discussion that they may not allow this man to be deported.
What? Excellent.
We'll keep you posted.
Do your country a favor. Go to the Blaze, tweet it, Facebook it, get it everywhere. Facebook, put it on the Facebook pages of all of the media organizations and say, why are you not reporting this? Get this story everywhere. They are moving at a rapid pace, and hopefully we've just shut the engines down on a jet. That didn't happen after 9/11. We've learned since 9/11. The government apparently hasn't. Yesterday, the FBI released the pictures of and video of two men they say were suspects in the Boston bombings. These are the ones. One was killed last night. The other is hopefully on his way to being killed now. They say that they believe the two men carried and placed the two bombs that killed 3 innocent Americans, including an 8-year-old boy, injured almost 200 other Americans. Absent from their announcement yesterday was any mention of the Saudi national. Now, the documents were brought to our attention at the Blaze. And those documents indicate that this guy is scheduled for deportation next Tuesday due to issues related to national security. The document goes on to say the individual is linked to the Boston bombing. That's what the federal document says. This is the same person that we were initially told was a person of interest. This was the Saudi national in the hospital. His apartment was in Revere, Massachusetts. It was raided. The items were removed. And then we were told that he was just a possible witness. And then we were finally told by the authorities that he had nothing to do with the attack. In fact, he wasn't a witness to the crime. Well, why was he in the hospital? How did he get to ground zero? What was he doing there? He wasn't even a witness? Really? This guy who wasn't a witness is suddenly being deported next Tuesday, whisked off our continent to go back to Saudi Arabia, and he wasn't even a witness, yet the documents say he is being deported voluntarily on terror charges linked to the Boston bombing. I want you to hear me clearly. If you think everybody in the government is bad, you're wrong. The only reason why the Blaze knows this is because we have several, I can't count them on both hands, several sources who are brave, valiant, patriotic Americans that work in all departments at all levels of this administration, who have contacted the Blaze one way or another and said, help, help, help. There are several dedicated Americans in the law enforcement community that decided they could not stand idly by and let the truth be swept under the rug that a deportation order was being issued. It was issued Tuesday, 4 p.m. by an organization or a government entity that most people have never even heard of called the National Targeting Center. It's a little known federal anti-terrorism division. After reporting this on theblaze.com yesterday, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement categorically, listen to this carefully, categorically denied. This is ICE. They categorically denied calling it grossly in error. ICE claimed that there was a Saudi national in custody in Boston waiting deportation, but it was completely unrelated to the Boston bombing. After that story, discrediting me and the Blaze was carried by a number of the national media outlets, and some of those national media outlets were given the story by the Blaze, top executive to top executive. After a number of those media or outlets discredited us or tried to with the ICE disclaimer, we received another call from yet another patriotic citizen in our government. This one from a high-ranking congressional aide who told us that the deportation order that we had just reported on had just been requested and delivered to his boss. He requested anonymity to protect those who had secretly provided the report, but proceeded to read to us the 8-page document which confirmed every single detail we reported yesterday and throughout the day. DHS Director, the Department of Homeland Security, the head of the department that you created to keep Americans from having their legs blown off, Janet Napolitano, yesterday was asked about the Saudi national and his pending deportation. She refused to answer. ICE angrily mocked our story, calling it false. The FBI has changed their story about this man every day since the bombing and has made no mention of him at yesterday's news conference, even though there is still a standing deportation order for reasons of national security, and on the documents it says linked to the Boston bombing. Now you ask yourself, what's going on? Why did the president just happen to stop by when a Saudi official happened to be in an office? Anybody who has ever been around presidents, prime ministers, kings knows. I have done it myself. I cannot meet with that person. Glenn, you're going to go into this office and you're going to talk to him. Well, I don't want to talk to him. Who the hell is he? Just go in, talk to him. 5 minutes in. Hey, Bill, I wanted to... Oh, Glenn. Oh, Mr. President, how are you? That's the way it works. Why was the president meeting with somebody unscheduled earlier this week? A Saudi official. Who is this Saudi man who was in the hospital, given a new international cell phone, and apologized to, according to him, in Saudi press? Who is he, I wonder? Why would anyone linked to the bombings be deported? If he's involved, wouldn't he be prosecuted? If he's a witness, why wouldn't you want him to testify? Why would you allow someone who was standing there by the bomb to be deported? Why would he leave? And why hasn't anybody in the mainstream media taken an interest in finding out? Why are they silent? The Blaze is interested. And the Blaze will not sit down. We will not comply. We will not shut up. We will not be intimidated. We work hard into looking who he is, who he's connected to, and why he seems to be being offered a ticket to freedom, even though he's been identified as a threat to national security. Don't believe me? Don't believe me. 6 congressmen have verified. One of our brave sources on this story last night asked me to do something very specific, and when I was told to do it, I said, that is out of here. That's just crazy talk. What the hell does that even mean? I was then explained, and they told me what it meant. I can't at this time tell you what it means, but I want to do it one more time, because on Monday I reveal everything that we know. So let me just say this to those at the highest echelons of government that know the tagging system. They know all about events, not files, events. Let me send this message very clear. We know who this Saudi national is. And it is in your best interest and in the best interest of integrity and trust for the people of the United States of America. It's best coming from you, not coming from a news organization. It's best coming from you. You have until Monday. We have information on who this man is. And listen to me carefully in your little event world. We know he is a very bad man. I know that doesn't make any sense to you right now, but on Monday, it will. It makes sense to somebody in Washington. I don't bluff. I make promises. The truth matters. I've had enough of what you've done to our country. I thought I had heard and seen it all. I thought I didn't trust my government. Oh, no. No, no. There is no depth that these people will not stoop to. They have until Monday. And then the Blaze will expose it.